Do you enjoy dark sarcasm, witty anecdotes, folk history, pop culture references, and historic epidemiological surveys of disease? If so, this next audiobook has everything for you. Welcome to Audiobook Reviews in 5. This is Jana, also known as Yana, and today I'm reviewing Get Well Soon, History's Worst Plagues and the Heroes Who Fought Them, written by Jennifer Wright and read by Gabor Zachman. I listened to this audiobook when it first came out in 2017, and I was not disappointed after taking another listen this week. Jennifer Wright is an author and political editor-at-large for Harper's Bazaar, and her unique combination of wit, style, and research makes this audiobook a true gem. Get Well Soon was promoted as a witty, irreverent tour of history's worst plagues, and it was voted Audible.com's History Book of the Year in 2017, no doubt partly due to Gabor Zachman's flawless narration. Wright begins her survey of historic plagues with a vivid description of the Antonine Plague of 165 to 180 AD. Now, current theories point to smallpox or measles as a cause, and here Wright identifies herself solidly as part of quote-unquote Team Smallpox. And she ingeniously uses this chapter to highlight Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius's leadership and his brand of Stoic philosophy, which turns out to be a remarkably useful way of thinking whilst living through a plague or pandemic. Next, Wright wryly shares a colorful retrospective of historic plagues and pestilence, including bubonic plague, dancing plague, which apparently is not as fun as it sounds, smallpox, syphilis, tuberculosis, cholera, shout out here to the original Jon Snow, hero of Victorian London, leprosy, typhoid, Spanish flu, and the encephalitis lethargica epidemic in the early 20th century, which some of you may recall from the 1973 book Awakenings by Oliver Sacks, which was also made into a movie of the same name in 1990. Finally, Wright shares historic highlights of lobotomies and polio, which fortunately remain a thing of the past. Beyond the narration, the darkly hilarious anecdotes and folk history are what set this audiobook apart for me. Wright's scathing description of political incompetence and deliberate obfuscation does not hold back on judgment. For example, regarding the escalating crisis and failure of leadership during the 1918 global influenza epidemic, Wright sums up, quote, Woodrow Wilson was not as smart as Marcus Aurelius, unquote, which seems simultaneously true, reductive, hilarious, and also pretty tragic. Wright's concluding chapter ends on a sober note, reminding us of the ongoing challenges with the AIDS pandemic and an ominous foreshadowing of how a lack of leadership during a pandemic tends to extend suffering and loss for millions of people. She states, quote, I find the forgetfulness of people, especially in true matters of life and death, so frustrating, end quote. Me too, Jennifer. Me too. If you enjoy Wright's style and Zachman's narration, you'll speed through this listen in no time. It's just over 7 hours. In her own words on Goodreads, Wright describes her book as, quote, like Dorothy Parker and Oliver Sacks had a word baby, unquote. Full disclosure, I didn't know who Dorothy Parker was, but Wikipedia describes her as an American poet, writer, critic, and satirist based in New York. And she was best known for her wit, wisecracks, and eye for 20th century urban foibles. So I hope that provides some context for you. Bottom line, this is a highly entertaining, well-researched book. Check it out. That's all for this episode of Audiobook Reviews in 5. Thanks for listening. I look forward to checking in with you all again soon. Please stay safe and be well.